Good evening, everyone. Insanity is good here. And welcome back to Umineko no Naku Koro. Gonna wait for the crew to get on in here. My fellow inmates, I guess I should call them. The seagulls aren't too loud and you guys can hear me alright. I'll find out in a minute. Oh, they still Oh shit, I forgot to load. Oh my god, it's starting anew. God damn it. Duh. Oh my god, okay, hold on. Actually, let me... Okay, hopefully... There we go. Hi, Rox! Can you hear me and the music alright? It's just always hard for me to gauge how loud it actually is. Okay, cool. Alright. Let's continue on with this tale of things that I can't say what they are because I don't want to spoil it for anybody. Okay. 4 of us cousins were enjoying our stories, just shooting the breeze. Anyway, there were both girls and guys here. Plus we had people of a wide spread of ages, adult, high school, and elementary school. Even if we just talked about our own lives, the other 3 kept listening attentively. I think I'm finally getting used to all this. Jessica and Maria have grown more than I could have imagined in the past 6 years. To be honest, I was feeling a bit uncomfortable, but talking like this, I guess that on the inside, nothing's really changed since back then. I agree! You haven't changed a bit, even after 6 years. Even though your body's gotten gigantic, you're still a kid inside. Ooh, I'm a kid too! I'm a kid too! Well, even you aren't going to be a kid forever, are you, Maria? I mean, you're going to transform from a kid into a cute young lady, aren't ya? And when that happens, that blood is... Oh my god, Battler, why? That blood is a board just to reach Jessica's level, huh? When that happens, you gotta let me touch him, okay? It's a promise. Ooh, that you touch him. I can't. Oh my god. Ooh, let you touch him, promise. Ooh. No, Maria-chan. You can't make that kind of promise. That's bad, bad, bad. Thank you, George. George, the voice of reason. The shining light in all of this horrible pervertedness. Ooh, I promised, so I'll let him touch him. I keep my promises. Always keep them. Ooh. Maria, you really are an earnest good girl. The guy you marry is going to be really lucky. Hey, stop trying to change the subject by making it sound pretty. Maria, that promise never happened. Never. Ooh, the promise is canceled? Ooh. As I thought, without Battler-kun and our little quartet, this group of cousins just didn't feel complete. Gotta have one pervert, I guess. These 6 years have been kind of lonely. Oh. OBS, why? Are we good? Yeah, I don't know what happened. Are we still good? back up. I think Twitch is probably getting overloaded right now because I was watching somebody on there earlier today and okay. Alright. I think we're back. Yes. Oh. Yeah, I think Twitch is just being overloaded right now. I'm recording simultaneously, so... Hello? Are we good? Okay, we're back. Alright, sweet. Okay. Yeah, worst comes to worst, if it does keep dropping, I can just, I'm recording this at the same time, so either way it'll get put on YouTube, so. That's true. We didn't really goof off like this. Still, we did have some pretty constructive conversations, right? Stuff about preparing for our future, exam taking, finding jobs. Maybe that was George? Whatever, we're just gonna say Jessica said it. Oh, I'm so sorry. Now that I'm here, we just talk about stupid stuff and mess around. But I'm having more fun this year. Ooh. That's true. I agree, this year's the most fun yet. Maria's sincere words probably spoke for everyone present. George and Nikki stroked Maria's head and she giggled like a happy kitten. Pardon me. Your meal is ready. A timid knocking sound and the equally timid voice of a young woman came through the door. Jessica answered brightly. Shannon, come in! You remember Battler, right? Jessica stood up from the bed and opened the door. There stood a servant girl who must have been about our age. It's been quite some time since we last met, Battler-sama. It's nice to see you after 6 years. It's me, Shannon. Trembling a little as she noticed me, she bowed deeply. Ah, Jessica had me surprised, but look at you, Shannon-chan. You've turned into a total beauty too, haven't you? You are too kind. Still, the food on this island must be really nutritional, huh? What are you eating and how are you training to get boobs that big? Oh my god, why? Guess I'll have to... I do not condone this whatsoever. Just for the record. Guess I'll have to feel him a bit and see whether yours or Jessica's are bigger, okay? With both hands poised and saliva dribbling from my mouth, I closed and... Ew! Valor, you're gross. For the sake of justice and my personal honor, I'd like to point out that I don't suffer from some strange disease that makes my lymph nodes itch until I scratch my neck open, which can only be prevented by fondling breasts. This is just a Battler-style method of communication. You're a pervert, and you should be, reprimanded in some way. Possibly thrown in jail. If I slowly close in on her like this, odds are 8 or 9 out of 10 that I get slapped or clobbered, right? So, I can use this Battler-sama original technique to spark a gag like that and break the ice. Well, it also means I really do get to touch them on that 1 in 10 chance though, right? Yeah, no. Yeah, like that had ever happened. And it fucking zooms in on the... Hold on, I want to see... Hold on. Does it? Oh my god, it does! Why? My condolences. Oh, good lord. At that point, my hands were less than a centimeter away from Shannon-chan's boobs, but the counter-strike had yet to come. She blushed and lowered her head in embarrassment when she realized what was going on, but she just stood there with both hands politely joined in front of her, not even trying to resist or cover her breasts. Hey, I wasn't planning on this. But please, hit me right now or I'm seriously gonna... Which is why I was glad that Jessica chose that time to drive her elbow into the back of my head. Thank you, Jessica! Ow! Thank you so much, Jessica! Well, why the hell are you thanking me? Ugh. Seriously, my bad, Shannon Jan. I almost got overwhelmed by your hypnotic chest. More importantly, anyone who gets that close has got to be a molester. You've got to fight back when people do that. But you are an important guest, Butler-sama. Now look here, a pervert's a pervert, whether he's a guest or not. A girl's chest has got an air defense identification range of about 10 centimeters or so. Once someone trespasses within 2 centimeters, that's already an invasion of airspace, so you'd better scramble the jets immediately and give them an instant slap. I couldn't do such a thing, because we are, furniture. Of course she didn't want her breasts touched, but if a guest so desired, she was prepared to sacrifice herself to suit their wants. A girl like this needs some urgent protection. To think such devoted girls still, oh my god. Wait till this gets back up. Okay, to think such devoted girls still existed in this era. It's enough to make a man dizzy. But no! No! I'm coming at you with the perverted face again! Knock me down! Look out! Pervert on the loose! This gag can't end until you deliver the punchline, so slap me! Please! Hit me! I cannot fulfill your request because I'm furniture. But if it were an order, I'd obey you because that is my duty. Then I'll make it an order. The next time Butler-kun tries to touch your breast, counterattack with a slap. Got it? Yes. As you wish. From now on, that's what I'll do. Please understand, Butler-sama. Shannon-chan announced this while bowing elegantly to me. Her expression was radiant. I gave her a thumbs up to show her I was fine with that. 6 years ago, you might have been mistaken for a servant's daughter who lent a hand at your parents' work. But now you're a full-fledged adult servant. How long have you been working here? Well, I've had the pleasure of serving this household for about 10 years. She's... this. The kanji for her name are read as Shannon. Now here's another name that's far from typical for a Japanese person. Back in the day, I was a kid myself, so I accepted her name without paying it much attention. Thinking about it now, though, her name's pretty unusual, even though she's not a member of the Shiromiya family. Maybe it's like a servant's professional name or something. If so, that might explain why her name's so similar to Kanon-kun, that kid I met earlier in the Rose Garden. She's a long-term servant who's served here since she was 6 years old. Her appearance had changed so much that I couldn't match her to the person of my memories, but we both knew each other 6 years ago. That shy part of her had always been there, but she did seem to have developed the allure you'd expect of a girl her age. Especially in her breasts. Yes. That kid we met earlier, Kanon-kun, is her little brother. He's not exactly my little brother. Still, he loves me like a big sister. He didn't cause you any trouble, did he? He's the same as always. If only he were just a bit more sociable. I apologize if he's caused you any trouble. Nah, he didn't cause any trouble at all. As a fellow man, I understand how moody you could get at that age. It's no surprise he's unsociable. Hey, Mr. Shiloh! Hello. Twitch is kind of overwhelmed right now, so OBS keeps crapping out, but I'm recording at the same time too, so even if it's a bit choppy for you guys, it'll, all come together um, you know. Ooh! I get called that all the time too! I get called unsociable! Just like Canon! Ooh! You weren't unsociable at all, Maria-sama. Ooh? Wanted to be like him. Ooh. You said the meal was ready, right? Yes. I'm sorry. Your meal has been fully prepared, so please allow me to guide you all to the mansion. Shandon bowed again formally and returned to her duty mode. We realized that if we made her stick around for any more light conversation, it would actually make it harder for her to do her job. We got up off our butts to avoid interfering with her work any further. So, shall we go to the mansion? Everyone's probably hungry, right? Yeah! I'm really looking forward to Goto-san's food! That guy was apparently a chef at this famous hotel, so he's super good at cooking. Oh, I can't wait! Let's go, Maria! We're gonna stuff ourselves like pigs! Ooh, stuff ourselves like pigs! No. You can't take everything Batlacoon says seriously, okay? Because he's always just joking around. Okay, let's go. Under Shannon Chan's guidance, we headed towards the mansion. Rose Garden. Met once again by the magnificent Rose Garden, we continued onward, as the intimidating mansion of the Shiromiya head family came into view. It had apparently been built shortly after the war, World War II, so you could feel the dignity of almost a half-century hanging about it. The building was gorgeous on the surface, but old as it was, equipment such as its AC and heating were apparently quite frail. According to Jessica, midwinter was especially tough, what with all the drafts. Haven't these people ever heard of a kotatsu? Which, if you don't know what that is, it's like a table that has like a kind of like a heater under it, sort of, and then there's like blankets on the sides. And in Japan, what you do is in the winter, because it gets cold there, they don't have very good heating. You sit with your like legs under the kotatsu, and it'll warm your legs up. It's a good way to keep yourself warm. As we entered the entrance hall, an aged servant greeted us. Now him, I remembered. Genji-san, who had been working here longer than anyone, filled the role of head servant. Battler-sama, it has been quite some time since last we met. As our eyes met, he greeted me with a calm, composed voice. His bow wasn't as graceful or refined as Gota's, but despite its simplicity, it communicated his feelings very well. Oh, it isn't? Okay, well that's good. It's crapped out twice since I started, so hopefully that was the end of it. Genji-san, it really has been a while. You look well. Thank you. I have been quite well. And Battler-sama, you have become a splendid young man. You are beginning to resemble the master in his youth. I look like grandfather? Guess that means grandfather was pretty popular with the ladies when he was young. From here on, I shall take Shannon's place and accompany you. Please, come this way. Shannon-chan bowed deeply and watched us leave. After that, we headed towards the dining room under Genji-san's guidance. Genji-san, just like Kumasawa-san, stood in stark contrast to us young people who had grown beyond recognition over the last 6 years. His appearance was exactly the same as in my memories from 6 years ago. It was as though time had stopped since the last time we had met. Genji-san was an extremely quiet and diligent person. He was basically grandfather's close aide or caregiver, and you might even call him grandfather's companion of many years. Besties! In fact, it seems he was by grandfather's side even more often than my late grandmother was. According to Jessica, grandfather trusted him more than any of his blood relatives. But I wonder how long he served. I never got the details, but I heard something about him being here since the very beginning, when this mansion was first constructed, which would mean that he's dedicated half of his life to serving here. It's easy to see why he's so trusted. As we passed through a massive hall that extended up into the second story of the mansion with no separating floor, I spotted something that hadn't existed in my memory of 6 years ago. Okay, before we get to that... hold on. Servant Shannon, a young but experienced servant. She's normally calm and performs her job efficiently, but she messes up when she gets nervous. Furthermore, Shannon is nothing more than a pseudonym that she uses when on duty, not her real name. That's her new image. That's too fan servicey for me. Oh, whoops. I prefer the original. She looks a bit more well-balanced. And not like her back's about to break from her boobs. Servant Genji, the leader of the servants who work for the Shiromiya family. He has served Kinzo longer than any other and is the person most trusted by that old man. Since he serves Kinzo directly, Kraus and Natsui think of him as being a spy for Kinzo. Old man. He's like way more like Haas. I prefer the original sprites. I don't care what people say. Wait, what is it that he spotted? I wonder. It was an awfully big portrait hanging right in front of the stairs that rose to the second floor. Without thinking, I stopped walking, captivated by it. Since I'd stopped so fast, Maria, who was following behind me, ran into my back. Ooh? Sorry. Hey, Jessica. Has that picture always been there? I pointed at the big, prominently displayed portrait in the hall. Everyone else stopped too. Oh, right. When you last came here, that hadn't been hung yet, had it? When was it again? Well, if my memory doesn't fail me, it was put on display sometime around the year before last. You are correct, sir. In April of the year before last, the master put it on display there, having previously ordered a painter to create it. Grandfather did that? So he paid to have it painted just for him, huh? The portrait suited this western mansion, and that woman in the elegant dress gave off a sense of refinement. I couldn't have guessed her age, but her sharp eyes and the strong will she seemed to possess made her look youthful. She seemed somewhat different from the composed, middle-aged women you often see in famous pictures. Oh, good night, Shiloh. Yes, it's her! If she'd had normal black hair, I might have assumed it was a portrait of my long-deceased grandmother in her prime. However, she had beautiful blonde hair and didn't look Japanese at all. So, just who is this lady? Maria answered that simple question enthusiastically, as though proud she knew the answer. Ooh, I know! She's Beatrice! What? Beatrice. She's a witch. Didn't you ever hear stories about her long ago? A witch? You mean the witch of this island? I think I already said this, but Rokkenjima is a small island, only 10 kilometers in circumference. However, that's actually pretty massive considering that only the Shiromiya family lives here. So only the harbor and the area around the mansion were set up to be lived in. Beyond that, the island remained as untouched as when it was uninhabited. The vast and empty forest had absolutely no lights, phones, or people passing through. To understand how dangerous that is, you need to forget your common sense as a city dweller. After all, if you happen to fall down a hole in the depths of the forest and sprain your ankle, no one would come to save you, no matter how much you cried or screamed. Then, once the sun went down, the forest would be wrapped in complete darkness, since there were no streetlights. And, since there were no signs, it'd be easy to get lost and confused, losing your sense of direction inside that dark forest. Nowadays, most people see a forest as a peaceful place, but to the people of bygone eras, before the light of civilization drove out the night, forests were as geographically separated from civilization as the sea. They were oceans above the ground. Fishermen who go out into the ocean are putting their lives at risk, despite their technical knowledge. In the same way, hunters who go out into the forest are in danger, despite having specialized knowledge of their own. If you know anything about the missing 411, that is still true today. Still true today. For campers, hikers, you name it. You go out into the woods, and you wander off the trail or whatever, not good. If children were to go play in such a dangerous forest, something terrible might happen. Someone's parents must have thought so. Maybe grandmother first said it, or maybe it was grandfather himself. Or perhaps the story's been passed down on this island since ancient times. There's a terrible witch in the forest, so you must not go in. At some point, this ghost story of Rokkenjima was born. This is the legend of Rokkenjima's witch. That's why, when we talk about a witch on this island, we're referring to the master of that vast and savage forest. Come to think of it, when I stayed at this mansion as a little kid, during those eerie nights when the wind and rain pounded on the windows, I remember being terrified by a story of the forest witch who roamed around searching for human sacrifices. So, Beatrice, huh? When Aniki mentioned it, I searched my memory and was sure I recalled hearing a name like that when I was little. I see. Still, I totally forgot that the witch in that legend had an elegant name like Beatrice. So, did Grandfather go out of his way to have a portrait made just because we grandchildren didn't believe the story? She's the witch from Grandfather's delusions. Ever since he had this picture hanged, he's been having a harder and harder time telling the difference between truth and fantasy. To us, she's just a witch that exists in Grandfather's mind, but to him, she's a being that exists on this island. Exists. He says he had that painting made because the rest of us would be incapable of understanding otherwise. Whole thing's creepy as hell. Milady, this portrait is precious to the master. I beg of you, do not say such things in front of him. I know. Even if you didn't tell me, I'd never do something like that. Jessica glanced at the portrait with an irritated gaze before turning away. It gets to be especially living in a place called the Black Hills. I don't know much about the Missing 4 Woman. I need to read the book that came out that the guy wrote about it, but I've heard about it and read a little bit. And so it like I don't feel comfortable going camping with Cal until he's older, cause with how little he is, it just scares me. Yeah. Let's go. We're making everyone wait in the dining room. Ooh, I'm hungry. Only a small portion of this island was controlled by the Ushiramiya family. All of the lawless remainder was the domain of the witch Beatrice. You might even call her the true ruler of Rokkenjima. I felt a faint revival of that unsettling sense of misfortune, which I'd felt when I learned of the tutelary god's shrine being struck by lightning. I think the documentary's free on YouTube. Check this. Ooh, if it is, I'll definitely check it out. And I remember that Kumasawa-san tried to tell an ominous story about Rokkenjima before Jessica stopped her. I don't know what she was planning to tell us about this island, but I do know one thing. It isn't the Ushiramiya family that rules Rokkenjima. It's the witch, Beatrice. That's right. After all, this is the witch's island. Battler! Ooh, you're slow! When I looked around, everyone was already heading towards the dining room. I hurriedly chased after them. We walked up to the huge double doors that led to the dining room. Genji-san knocked. I have brought the children. Please pardon the intrusion. The doors were open and we were invited inside. The dining room, which looked exactly like you'd imagine a rich person's dining room to be, had a super long table that was obviously positioned with no purpose other than to make the guests conscious of their rank. Our parents were already sitting in accordance with that ordering. You're late, brats! Hurry up and take a seat! The old bastard pressed us to sit. The only gaps in that group of people were the spots we were supposed to sit, which only made us feel our tardiness all the more. The seat at the head of the table, called the incipient's chair, was for the most highly ranked, reserved for Grandfather. It was still empty. He probably wanted to show up last for dramatic effect. From the perspective of someone facing the incipient's chair head-on, the seating order went from left to right, with the lower-ranking seats progressing in rows of 2 further away from it. So, the left-hand side of the first row, closest to the incipient's chair, was where Uncle Kraus should have sat, since he was the second highest in rank. It looked like he hadn't arrived yet, so that seat was empty. Across from his chair on the right side of the first row sat the eldest daughter of the family, Aunt Ava, who was the third highest in rank. The left-hand side of the second row was for the fourth highest in rank. There sat my damned dad, Rudolph the third of the siblings. Across from him, on the right side of the second row, sat Aunt Rosa, the youngest sibling. This might seem boring to you, but knowing the rank order of the adults will put a lot of other things like in better perspective. So just bear with the writing here. At this point, you might expect their husbands and wives to come next. But nope, the left-hand seat in the third row, rank number 6, belonged to Jessica. Opposite her was George and Iki. See, blood comes first, so. I sat next to Jessica, and Maria sat across from me. Then, finally, next to me on the left-hand side of the 5th row, sat Aunt Natsui, the 10th second in rank. Opposite her was Uncle Hideyoshi. Next to Aunt Natsui, in the 6th row and the final seat on the left-hand side, sat Kirie-san. The seat opposite to Kirie-san was empty, even though silverware had been set there and everything. According to this ranking system, that spot was where Aunt Rosa's husband should be sitting. Even though he wasn't supposed to be coming, his place was made up. Normally, ranking systems of this sort give spouses equal positions as their partners, but the Shiromiya family system was unique. Maybe it's a remnant of male chauvinism. If you start with the assumption that a woman's womb is just something to be borrowed, then the children of direct descent would come first, directly followed by the grandchildren. In other words, spouses have no blood ties and are therefore placed at the end of the line. It's terrible, but by this system my grandmother would be ranked even lower than me, if she were still alive. In their youth, they obey their father. After they get married, their husband. After aging, their children. There's the old saying, women have no home in any realm. That's really fucking depressing. I don't like that saying. Long ago, when I was still incapable of figuring all this out, I thought it was so great that we could all chat in our little groups, adult siblings with adult siblings and cousins with cousins. However, now that I can re-examine the seating order after growing up a bit, it stirs up some very complicated feelings in me. And Natsui, who was married to the eldest son and was the de facto number 2 in managing this family, sat to my right, which meant that she was 2 steps lower than me in the ranking order. It was hard to imagine what might be going on inside her heart. That's why I made a small apologetic gesture towards her before sitting down. How nice to see you, Batlakun. You've grown quite tall, haven't you? Oh, yep. 6 long years of eating well, sampling various cuisines, and deriving sustenance from Mother Earth's bountiful gifts. Hard work, but I pulled through. Growing just like a boy, I see. How tall are you now? I guess about 180 centimeters? I don't know how tall that is in feet. But Aunt Natsui, that's where you're supposed to say, heck, sounds like all you did was eat. Huh? Oh, I'm sorry. After a short pause, she did laugh with me, but it seemed like she couldn't quite figure out what she was supposed to be laughing at. This woman is Aunt Natsuhi. Kanji. She's the wife of the eldest son of the family, meaning she's my father's older brother's wife. Is it simpler if I just call her Jessica's mother? It feels bad to say it like this, but while I didn't exactly dislike her, I didn't particularly like her either. She hardly ever spoke with us kids, and all my memories of her involve her talking to the adults about complicated things, with a scary look on her face. In fact, since we hardly ever exchanged words... I spent a long time trying to figure out how I should approach her, though my efforts seemed to have ended in failure. The silverware sat neatly on the table, but the meal itself hadn't been brought in yet. As a general rule, you couldn't start a meal until the person sitting at the head of the table arrived, so as long as grandfather didn't come, lunch would be put on hold indefinitely. Not even the appetizers would arrive. Simply put, the silence in this room was caused by our parents enduring their hunger while they waited for grandfather to arrive. However, the grandfather from my memories would always show up on time to meals like this. He was the kind of person who would never be so late that it kept everyone waiting, especially after the entire group had arrived. Grandfather's pretty late. As far as I can remember, he was always strict about time. Well, that might have been true 6 years ago, but it hasn't been that way lately. In fact, he's off in his own little world so often that he doesn't even show up at family meals. Still, I figured he'd at least come down today. Then again, I felt a lot more relaxed and happy without him. Jessica! When her mother scolded her, Jessica stuck her tongue out and looked away. No way around it. Might as well wait until our host arrives. When I glanced at the clock, I saw that it was almost 12:20. Shiramiya Kinzo, the aged family head of the Shiramiya head family. This man could be seen in his study. The clock had already passed noon, but he didn't even attempt to rise from his seat. Shivered a little bit at 163 centimeters, or about 5'4". So he's about, he's about 5'4", something like that. 5'3". 6 foot? I don't know. I already forgot. With the spectacles on, he built up a growing pile of books with elaborate bindings, which he then read intently. You couldn't really say that... Mom says hi, I'm cutting her nails right now, we're listening to this. You get to hear my horrible voice acting. Couldn't really say that he was having too much fun to stop. Rather, he filled the room with a sense of impatience, or perhaps a sense of impending danger, as though every second wasted was a tragedy. In this sealed room, a dense dust danced through the air, which was thick with the stench of chemicals that exuded a mix of suspicious odors. Those odors were somehow sweet and heavy. If anyone with a normal nose came in here, the first thing they'd do would be to open a window and ventilate this room. The knocking against the study door had been going on for a while. The voice calling father sometimes mingled with the knocks. As Kinzo heaved a deep sigh, he snapped shut the old book in his hands and slammed it on the table. Then he yelled at Kraus, who was still knocking on the door. "Silence! Enough with that racket, you fool! Who told you the door would be opened if you but knocked? I'll crucify the imbecile! Do you wish to suffer the same fate?" Alright, hold up, we're gonna... Alright, we got, here we go. Shiramiya Natsui, Kraus's wife. She manages the household of the Shiramiya head family in place of her husband, who takes little interest in such matters. She was in charge of all preparations and arrangements for this family conference. She possesses a strong sense of responsibility and a great deal of pride. However, neither her husband nor his siblings understand her very well, so her position is far from enviable. Here's her new... It's again a bit too fan servicey for my taste. He's about 5'8". Wait, I lied. Also, hi T-Mom! Shiramiya Kinzo, the aged head of the Shiramiya family. Even though it has already been announced that he has just a few months to live, he is brimming with energy. Though he amassed a vast fortune in the past, he never made any announcements regarding the inheritance, which worries his children. He is strongly influenced by the West and is a rabid fan of the occult. His study is packed with mysterious grimoires. Cranky old man. Alright. See, I haven't decided how I want to do Kraus's voice. Father, this is the day of the family conference, which happens only once a year, is it not? Everyone's gathered down below. Please come out. Kraus called out to his father through the door. Kinzo always shut himself up in the study, hating it when nearly anyone, even his family, entered the room. For that reason, Kraus had no choice but to call to him from the corridor like this. Molest me not! Just who is this everyone of which you speak? Do you mean the fools tried to drag me out of here? Then kill them all! Tear them apart, use their bodies for firewood, and feed them into the witch's earth. Put a pot in that earth to boil the warm wood. Force the imbeciles who dare try to lure me out of here to drink the broth of the apocalypse. I will soak their dregs in liquor. Ah, where is Genji? Call for Genji. Have my demonic absinthe prepared. The whispering of the green fairy reaches me no longer. Ah, where is Genji? Bring him here! On the other side of the door, Kraus, Nanjo, and Genji kept waiting for the master of the house, who stubbornly refused to come out. Looks like he hates me to the core. My voice doesn't reach him anymore. Kraus shrugged as though saying it's no use and smiled bitterly. Sorry if the accent's weird. I don't have a lot of practice with voice acting, so I'm just gonna... Oh, so he's like 6 feet. Okay. So that is pretty tall for a Japanese dude. At the beginning, he hadn't really expected his father to respond to his calls. However, since it was the duty of the eldest son, he had tried as a formality. Kinzo-san, your son's daughters and grandchildren have come to see you, have they not? Could you just let them see your face, if only for a short while? Shut up! Be silent! You dare to admonish me, Nanjo? I never told anyone to get you, I told them to get Genji! Now call for him immediately! Time is short and the apostles are already readying their trumpets, so why can't you foolish sheep understand? Kinzo slammed an old heavy book against the table over and over. That racket clearly expressed his great displeasure. Kinzo put his spectacles down and flew up from his chair. He spread his arms wide open as if to sing to a packed opera house, as if appealing to someone, and yelled, Why? Why is there always something in my way? I would throw it all away. I would offer up everything, and there's only one thing I ask in repayment. Oh, Beatrice, if I could see your smile but one more time, I would plunder the smiles of the earth and offer them all up to you. Oh, commanders of the legions of locusts, reap the smiles of the earth. Everything is filthy, everything is irksome. Why must I suffer this impediment on this most precious of days? I'm like actually coughing now. Call for Genji! I have no idea what he's yelling about. He's probably lost his mind by now. Krause-san, isn't it a bit harsh to say such a thing of your own father? My father is already dead. There's nothing here but a phantom of what father once was. At any rate, as long as he has no intention of coming out, there's nothing we can do. Kinzo-san. Choking coughs continued to pour from the study. I'm going back downstairs. It would be a waste to let the fruits of Goda's prized cooking talent get any colder. It's one of the few things our relatives can look forward to when they come to this house. Krause spun around. He looked at his watch, mumbling and acting as though he had wasted time doing something he knew would be in vain. Genji-san, father is calling for you. Keep him company. Certainly. Dr. Nanjo, let's go eat. If we stay here any longer, the sweet scent will ruin our sense of taste. Without waiting for Nanjo, Krause went downstairs. Genji urged Nanjo to go and eat. Nanjo glanced between the study door and Krause's back as the latter disappeared down the stairs, then let out a deep sigh. Sorry, Genji-san, but please allow me to leave this in your hands. Yes, please leave it to me. Do what you can to avoid giving him alcohol. That's a habit that's far too difficult to break. Is Genji not here yet? Who dares keep Genji from coming? Where's Genji? Call for Genji! Please, allow me to handle the situation here. Very well. Forgive me. Nanjo bowed slightly and descended the stairs. Genji watched him leave, then knocked on the study door. Master, it is Genji. Genji! Why have you kept me waiting so long? You're alone, I trust? Correct. I am alone. Kinzo returned to his seat in the study and pressed an old-fashioned switch on the table. After a small delay, the heavy sound of the door unlocking could be heard. Kinzo was convinced that his family wanted to make a mess of his study, or perhaps someone had once opened the window for some air and ended up scattering things that, to him, were important research materials, leaving him in a terrible mood. Kinzo had outfitted his room with a formidable lock, preventing anyone from entering without his permission and thereby sealing himself in a jail of his own making. Genji, whom he trusted the most, was relatively free to enter the room, but even that didn't always hold. If Kinzo was in a bad mood, even Genji wouldn't be able to enter. Anyone else would be limited to holding a conversation through the door, unable even to see Kinzo's face, and most of the time what they got could hardly be called a conversation. So your voice acting was fine. I enjoyed. Aw, thank you. I try. However, this didn't trouble the rest of the family much. After all, it just wasn't worth the effort to disturb this aging family head. It was impossible to please a noise stayed shut away and immersed in his research. Taking advantage of his refusal to leave his room, they supported his isolation, putting his care entirely into the hands of the servants. Genji, my usual. I'm busy. Yes, sir. Genji headed to a corner of the study. There, suspicious-looking bottles boasting venomous colors were on display. They were actually liquor, but considering the shady atmosphere of this room, one might easily suspect them of being some ghastly poison. I mean, it might as well be poison. If his kidneys are failing, which they probably are. Inside the study, the mysterious collection of books gathered by Kinzo had grown into a mountain. They were bizarre, ancient, or banned books, all of them either forbidden, cursed, or sealed. But if you tried to call them old books, Kinzo would fly into a rage and say, "Call them grimoires!" There were also many mysterious objects that presumably held some meaning with regards to black magic, like candles suspiciously melted and molded into strange shapes. The constellations drawn on a certain celestial globe contained quite a few shapes that would draw puzzled looks from anyone familiar with today's night sky. The carelessly strewn about books contained many illustrations, all of them of a religious or mysterious nature, including some depicting demonically grotesque subjects or bizarre diagrams of various magic circles. Dude, that sounds like an awesome fucking study if you ask me. Like, damn, I would love that. And above all, a sweet poisonous smell filled the room, profoundly assaulting the eyes and noses of those who entered for the first time. Eventually, it must surely make a person go numb and lose their grip on reality. Inside that study, Genji prepared Kinzo's usual drink with a well-trained hand. No one would even think of drinking such an ominous dark green liquid in that complex and ornate glass unless someone first told them it was alcohol. He poured a little into the glass. Then, he placed a cube of sugar in a strangely shaped spoon and poured the water from a pitcher over it. Strangely, when the transparent water was poured, the dark green liquid turned a cloudy white. Now, I've had absinthe before, but not like genuine absinthe like this. I've always wanted to try it. It was a strange optical illusion, as though the water had caused a chemical reaction and made the drink become even more unrecognizable as liquor. Then, Genji added original flavors Kinzo loved, fine-tuning its taste. There was no recipe. Its success was measured only by Kinzo's mood swings when he drank it, and it had taken Genji many decades to learn how to do it right. Genji placed the glass on a tray and walked over to Kinzo. By this time, Kinzo was gazing out the window. "Here, master." "Thank you." Kinzo had regained his composure and was now unrecognizable as the shouting, screaming, yelling man from a few months ago. Don't forget crying. Looking at this man from behind as he tilted his glass and gazed down at the scenery beyond the window, he projected a sense of dignity and intelligence. To allow Kinzo to set his glass down at any time, Genji motionlessly waited behind Kinzo and to his left, as though he were a living sideboard. Then, without averting his eyes from the window, Kinzo held out his glass. There was only a mouthful remaining. It was not a gesture intended to set it upon the tray, but a motion to hand the glass over to Genji. "Drink, my friend. Your words are too kind for me. No need for ceremony between us. Drink, my friend." "Thank you." Genji respectfully received the glass and inclined it a little to taste its contents. After that, he gulped it down. "I attempted to imitate your concoction, but no matter how I try, I cannot replicate the taste. The way you make it is pure relish." "Thank you very much. It is the fruit of your guidance, master." Kinzo smiled at his loyal subject, who refused to put aside rank even when asked to. However, he was not making fun of him. His smile was relaxed, as though chuckling at a close friend's old, unshakable habit. "We have grown old together. I stopped counting the years long ago. It is entirely thanks to you, master, that I have been able to live like this until today." Kinzo gave a faint smile, as if to say he didn't need any flattery. "Until now, you have served me exceedingly well. My sons call me eccentric. The servants that were once many have all quit in fear of me. Only you serve me even now. Your words are more than I deserve. My life will not last much longer. My sons are vultures, lazily waiting for my inheritance to fall into their hands. Kraus is a fool who squanders money like water, who throws away 2 gold coins to obtain 1, and then he has the gall to claim that he's earned money. Eva is a slave to money who thinks of me as a mere chicken. When I die, she plans to use my bones to make a broth. That dunce Rudolph just wants to fool around with women. Rosa bore the baby of a man who came from nowhere and about whom we know nothing. Jessica is incompetent and uneducated. George has none of what it takes to be a man. Feather is a fool who threw away the honor of the Ushiramiya family. And Maria is obscene to the eye. Why is the Ushiramiya blood so incompetent? Is there no one worthy to inherit the glory I built? Ah, of course I know. This is part of Beatrice's curse. I know it. Ah, you Golden Witch, are you trying to take revenge against me in this way? If you want to hate me, then do so. If you want to run away, then run. I won't let you go. I won't let you go. Won't let you go. Won't let you go. You belong to me. You must always be in my arms. For all my life. You must stay in my birdcage for all eternity, whispering only to me. Beatrice, why won't you smile back at me? Oh, Beatrice. Oh. After howling, Kinzo choked once again. Genji set the tray and glass down and rubbed his master's back. Genji's facial expression did not change. It was always like this. Thank you, my friend. When his seemingly deranged fit subsided, Kinzo regained his composure once again. It was like seeing two different people, a wild Kinzo and a composed Kinzo, living together inside one body. Oh man, I would curse him too. I saw an Absinthe Cafe and a Prague vlog once, and I've been thinking about it ever since. Oh man, I would love to try it. And so, I have decided. I cannot bear to spend my dimmed remaining years procrastinating like this. If I have one final coin to bet, then I choose to abandon it to the whims of the demon's roulette. The power of magic is always determined by the risk of the gamble. Like visiting a shrine at the hour of the ox in ancient Japanese sorcery to nail a cursed doll to a tree. I'm assuming that means something. I don't know enough about Japanese Shintoism and magic and stuff. Magical power is produced specifically because of the risk that it will be seen within the 7 days the curse takes. The greater the risk, the stronger the magic power will be. Many miracles that happen in myth might be called the crystallization of shocking magic power, with a low probability of occurrence and astronomical risk. That Moses parted the waters of the sea was not a miracle of God. The risk of that desperate situation, cornered by soldiers on the Red Sea's shores, weighed upon the scales of slaughter and gave birth to that miraculous magic power. If the same thing occurred again on the same scale, the sea would surely fail to part. After all, Moses was able to magnificently summon a miracle engraved on but one of the countless, innumerable results on the roulette of those with power. This is the force that could triumph over astronomical odds. Indeed, good fortune that can grasp miracles is magical power itself. To obtain this mighty power, one must face the risk of despair. Those who possess no magical power may call that desperation rather than a bet. However, people who truly do possess magic power can grasp hold of that miracle and make the enigma come into being. And if that power exists within me, I'll seize that miracle. I'll have a chance at making the wish I devoted my life towards come true. Kinzo looked up to the sky outside the window. He spread his arms as if appealing to someone up in the skies. If only I were capable of grasping that miracle. Oh, Beatrice, show me your lovely smile once more. No matter how much time passes, your face does not vanish. I just want to see your smile, that is all. I'll return everything you granted me. I'll return all the glory I've gained since that day. I don't need fortune, prestige, or gold. I'll return everything you gave me. I just want to see your smile. I beg you, Beatrice. Oh. His nonsensical yells became a scream, and then a wail. Kinzo slumped to the floor, tearing at it with both hands. Genji had no choice but to wordlessly watch over his master's lamentations. Well, ladies and gentlemen, the family head's health is not at its best. He seemed extremely sad not to be able to share lunch with you all, now that you have gathered for this event that occurs but once a year. Goda, let the lunch begin. Certainly, I shall begin today's luncheon. Dr. Nanjo, is Father's condition really that bad? Couldn't he have at least let us see his face? It's more a problem of mood than a physical condition, and for that there is no medicine I can prescribe. Hey, are we talking about his mood again? You've got to be kidding me. We took time out of our schedules during this damn busy autumn season just to come and find out how he's doing. And now he's... Then you should be happy, Rudolph. You now know how he's doing. Or what? Would you rather take my place or try to persuade our ill-humoured father to come join us? Are you kidding? Rudolph shrugged. Apparently, though Rudolph was willing to be indignant at how self-centered his father was, he wasn't particularly disappointed to be spared a face-to-face meeting. Does it seem like his mood will improve before dinner, Krasny-san? I have no idea. If you want to know that, you should ask him directly. Although, I think his mood will improve faster if we don't bother him. Genji-san's the only one who can get grandfather out of a funk. It's pretty pathetic, though, making the servants deal with their own parents' bad mood. Jessica? Don't speak out of turn. She planned for a complaint to be heard only by her cousins, but it had reached even Krause's ears. Scolded, Jessica scowled and turned away, sulking. If he's as cranky as they make him sound, he can't be that terribly sick, right? I mean, they're saying he's in a bad mood, not that he's got no energy, which at least proves he's got his wits about him. It's because grandfather has especially strong willpower. However, that doesn't necessarily mean his body will be able to keep up. Since last year, they keep saying that he has 3 months left. If the initial diagnosis was correct, grandfather has been prolonging his life by willpower alone. It's right for us to worry about him. Lunch started with the family head's seat still empty. The man who should be sitting there had already grown old, and the brilliant glory which had rebuilt the Shiramiya family in the span of a single lifetime was being forgotten. Even though they were beginning the meal with that seat still empty, no one felt it was that odd anymore. Alright, it's the end of that chapter. The plot thickens. So I am going to, once again, save. And we got 2 spots still open. Oh, that's supposed to be Krause, but Battler hasn't done the little name introduction yet, and I wonder who this spot could be for. I wonder. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it, as always. Hope you guys have a good weekend, and happy Mother's Day to all you moms out there. I know I'm gonna have the day off work, because, heck man, if you're a mom, you deserve it. So I'm gonna get pampered, it's gonna be awesome. I'm just gonna relax, and, you know, be thinking about my mom periodically throughout the day, you know, because though she's no longer with us, you know, she'll always be my mom, and I like to think of the good times, and try to think of how proud she'd be, you know. Oh, thank you, Rox. Try to make her proud, I do, but anyways, that depressing stuff aside, thank you guys for watching. If you're joining me on Twitch, next time go ahead, join in the chat, give me a follow, subscribe. If you're following me on YouTube, go ahead and give me a like, a comment, subscribe as well. You can support me at Patreon at patreon.com/insanityizgood. And you can also check out my other playthroughs on my YouTube channel, youtube.com/user/insanityizgood, which all those links will be in the description. So, guys, have a good weekend, stay safe, wash your hands, and I will see you guys on Monday with what I think is going to be probably the conclusion to Layers of Fear. So, and once again, happy Mother's Day. Have a good night. Bye, guys. Hello.